Do you have another exciting job opportunity, but you're left wondering, is it worth taking a pay cut to make the change? Despite what most people will tell you, there are some reasons when it actually makes sense to take a pay cut. It doesn't always make sense to take a pay cut, but today I'm going to give you 13 reasons when it pays to make less. Number 13 is one of my favorites, and is actually the main reason that led me to quit my high-paying job to pursue entrepreneurship. So stick around until the end if you want to learn what convinced me to make a similar change. The first reason to take a pay cut is to do something more meaningful or enjoyable. The exact details of this could be a number of things. It could mean switching careers to something you always wanted to do, but never really had the right opportunity to pursue. It could also mean taking a job that you know you'll enjoy more, but just pays less. It could also mean going to work for a nonprofit in order to contribute to a mission or cause that's important to you. And as someone who worked for a nonprofit for the majority of my career, it can be really rewarding to be part of a mission-driven organization. Doing something more enjoyable to you is extremely important. Anyone who works full-time for 40 years will end up working about 83,000 hours, and this is a long time and a significant portion of your waking hours. So choosing to take a pay cut to do work that is more enjoyable to you is a great reason to take a pay cut, but it's not the only one. Another reason to take a pay cut is to reduce your stress or responsibility. Despite what most people will tell you, you don't always have to take on more and more responsibility. It's always an option to decrease your responsibility and therefore your stress level. Many people often look to management or leadership with envy, thinking it must be nice to be the one making the decisions. And as someone who has been in that position, it can be nice to have a say in the company-wide decisions, but it can also take its toll. Generally speaking, more responsibility means more stress. And so while there are ways to manage that stress, you also have the option of taking a job with less responsibility to intentionally reduce your stress. This often will mean a pay cut, but it can be worth it to improve your mental health and general well-being. Intentionally reducing your stress can also give you more mental space for stuff outside of work. And another reason to take a pay cut is to have more time outside of work. How you use that time can vary, but this reason is entirely focused on increasing your time outside of work. Most employers will offer you the option of decreasing your hours for a proportional decrease in pay. So if you work 20% fewer hours, you would often see a 20% reduction in pay. This allows employers to retain skilled employees while also offering you an option to increase your non-working hours. And you could do this for any reason, like wanting more time to spend on specific hobbies or wanting a long weekend every weekend. Or you could be a parent who wants to spend more time with their kids while they're young. Decreasing your hours is a great reason to take a pay cut and give yourself a better work-life balance, making your working hours even more enjoyable. But sometimes it's not about reducing your hours, but finding better hours. If you work in retail or in other industries where there are different shifts, employers will often pay a premium for shifts that are otherwise difficult to hire for. If you want to improve your work schedule, whether that means changing shifts or perhaps even working a compressed schedule, it can make a ton of sense to take a pay cut. Having a better work schedule can mean better sleep cycles for you or more time with friends and family. As with all of these reasons, you want to make sure that you can still pay your bills by taking a pay cut, but doing so to improve your work schedule can significantly improve the quality of your life. Another reason to take a pay cut is to increase your flexibility. Flexibility is more important than ever before. Sometimes it's not about when you work or how many hours you work, but how much flexibility you have to adjust your schedule. Need to drop off or pick up kids from school, or need to go to appointments during the middle of the week on a regular basis? There are a number of jobs that don't care when the work gets done, as long as the work gets done. Taking a job with more flexibility can be a great reason to take a pay cut. Have you ever tried to find a job before moving to a new location? I have, and it can be very challenging. Another reason to take a pay cut is to enable you to move to a new location. Having a full-time job before you move to a new area can be a huge benefit. It can take away a lot of the stress and pressure to find a job in a short period of time. When we got married and we were planning to move to New Jersey, we were both actively applying jobs before we moved to the area. It was going to be difficult to find jobs in New Jersey before actually moving there. We ended up taking a trip out to look at apartments and interview for a few jobs. We both ended up securing jobs by the time we signed a lease for our new apartment. Having a job, even if it paid a little less, offered a lot of security as we were making the move to a new area of the country. If you're wanting to move somewhere new, taking a job that pays less makes a ton of sense. I'd rather land a job that will pay the bills than have to stress about getting a job while holding out for the best possible salary. Even if you don't want to relocate, taking a job that pays less could also make sense if you reduce or remove your commute. This is actually the next reason to take a pay cut. Having a long commute can be costly in more ways than one. It costs you in fuel and car maintenance, but it also costs you in happiness and time. For a brief period of time, I commuted about 30 to 45 minutes each way to and from work. This meant that on a good day, I spent an hour in the car, and on those not so good days, it was close to double that. There's nothing more frustrating than sitting in bumper to bumper traffic after a long work day and just wanting to be home. That's why removing a long commute can be a great reason to take a job that pays less. And it has an immediate and tangible benefit to you right now. When I stopped commuting by car to work, I immediately felt like I had more time and I was happier. There wasn't this block of time in my day that left me frustrated or annoyed. Not all reasons to take a pay cut are immediate. The next reason is actually about future potential. Specifically, the potential for future career advancement. Not all jobs are created equal. Some pay better than others. Some have better benefits, and some have a lot more opportunity for career advancement. Unfortunately, advancement and promotions are often dependent on the company's success or business case to elevate roles. And if the conditions aren't just perfect, it could leave you wanting more, even if your performance has been top-notch. If you want to advance in your career, sometimes you have to switch companies to position yourself well for advancement. This might mean joining a company that's growing or joining a team with key members planning to retire in the coming years. Taking a pay cut now may help position you for future growth. And if you're taking a pay cut for future growth, I recommend making sure that you'll have the opportunity to gain more experience that will help you grow. This may mean giving you more management experience if you haven't had much experience managing others, or it could mean reporting to the executive team or to a board of directors, or simply other exposure to new skills. In addition to growth opportunities, it may also make sense to take a pay cut for better benefits. It can be so easy to focus on salary as the main component of your compensation, but employee benefits can be a large percentage of the total cost to the employer. And many employers often budget for an additional 30 to 35% on top of what they pay in salary to account for personnel costs, most of which is the cost of benefits. One of the most common and most expensive benefits to employers is health insurance. And a good health insurance plan with a large percentage covered by the employer can save you thousands, if not over $10,000 each year. If you're someone with high medical bills, it may make sense to switch companies just for the health benefits, even if it means taking a cut in salary. Another benefit that may interest you is tuition remission. Did you know that those who work at a university are often given free tuition? Many universities also offer free tuition to employees' children. I worked full-time at a university when I was completing my graduate degree and was given free tuition in exchange. While I didn't earn as much as I could have elsewhere, my compensation was pretty competitive when you factored in the free tuition. This can be a great way to pay for your children's tuition for undergrad or even graduate school. And some universities even participate in an exchange program providing you free tuition at a different university. While some may consider this an employee benefit, another reason to take a job that pays you less is the ability to work remotely. Not only does this make sense because you have lower costs to commute to and from work, but it also offers so much more flexibility. You can work wherever you want and aren't tied to a specific location. This means that you can even extend your vacations by 1 or 2 weeks very easily without taking additional paid time off, allowing you to explore the area on weekends or evenings. It also means that you can work in a lower cost of living area, thereby stretching that salary, even if it is a little bit lower, even further. Many companies are now hiring remote employees to stay competitive in their job searches. And if you don't want to change companies, some companies offer this benefit to their existing employees in lieu of an annual raise or even with a pay decrease. So it may be worth checking in with your HR department on options at your current company. Sometimes the reason to take a pay cut is all about job security. If your family depends on your income, or even if it doesn't, and you're highly risk averse, it could make sense to take a pay cut just to have job security. This might mean taking a government job in a department with well-established funding, or in a certain industry with more job security. According to the Washington Post, the 5 industries with the most job security are healthcare, IT, education, government, and financial services. Losing your job unexpectedly can be really disruptive and lead to a long period of time without a steady income. There's no shame in prioritizing job security as you switch jobs. And sometimes taking a job with a pay cut isn't so much about the job you're going to, but the job you're leaving. The next reason to take a pay cut is to get out of a toxic job. If you're working in a job with a bad boss or a high-stress work environment, it can make getting through the day or even the week very difficult. We've mentioned this in other videos, but it can be really easy to feel like you should try to fix the toxic work environment. But in most situations, it's much better to get out and to do so as quickly as possible, because it's likely not going to get any better. Accomplishing this may mean taking a pay cut to obtain a job. Sometimes staying in the toxic job too long can have damaging effects on your mental health and end up costing you more than taking a job that pays less. And last but not least, the reason that motivated me to quit my job and pursue entrepreneurship is when you already have enough. And I don't mean when you have enough money that you never have to work another day in your life, but when you've made progress. Perhaps you've reached coast-fi or even debt freedom. You have the luxury of taking a job that pays less. When you have enough money, you can leverage that wealth to buy back your time and your happiness. And this affords you the opportunity to take a job that pays less. I left my job over a year ago, and now I make significantly less money. But because we've reached coast-fi, we only have to cover our expenses. And with the business that my wife Jess has built and the savings that we put away ahead of time, we have a long runway that allows me to create YouTube videos simply because I enjoy doing it, even if it pays a lot less. And if you've made progress on your financial journey, you may want to think about the opportunities that the progress affords you, and how taking a job that pays less could give you even more opportunities in life that you might otherwise not think is possible. And if you want to learn more about how financial freedom is incremental and the specific lifestyle options that certain milestones unlock, you should watch this video on the 5 stages of financial freedom. As always, thanks so much for watching and enjoy the journey.